What's up, Clicks fans? This is Hunter with Dial H for Heroclix podcast, and today we will be reviewing the Thunderbolts Fast Forces. We will take a look at the sculpts, take a look at the dials and their powers, and also get a good look at the map. And then at the end, we will grade their combat efficiency and whether this is a good, whether this pack is worth your money. The MSRP is, I believe, $19.99, but even at just the 3 stores that I've seen it at, I've seen it range from $13 to $20. So in that price range, probably around the $15 to $20 price range. Let's see if it's worth your money. Alright, first let's start with the main man, Deadpool. He comes in at number 1. He only has 1 point option at 100 points. And his dial is very interesting, as most of the Deadpools are. It kind of jumps around a little bit as far as the power layouts, but he starts with top dial, charge, precision strike, toughness, and perplex. And then throughout his dial, he'll either have charge or flurry on it pretty much every click, and he'll either have precision strike or blades on pretty much every click. And he always has perplex or probability control on every click. So very good powers, pretty solid numbers across the board. He also has 2 traits. The first one is if he is further from your starting area than all your other friendly characters, he can use sidestep and stealth, which is excellent. His second trait, he is a wild card but can only copy opposing team abilities as if they were friendly. So that in and of itself makes him at least an average dial, maybe slightly above average, but then you throw in the word bubble mechanic. His in particular that comes with him is called Quick Shield Me With Your Bodies. Modify this character's defense by +1 when adjacent to a friendly character that is 50 points or more. That's an okay one, but just remembering that if you have even half of the word bubbles, even if you have 4 or 5, the flexibility that these word bubbles bring to the game to free action switch to whichever you need at the moment has proven in our local games, and just in my mind, theorizing, extremely useful. The word bubble mechanic is very, very good, and it adds a whole lot of playability to this dial. I'm going to end up giving it a 4 out of 5 for modern age figures. Electra comes in at number 2. She has a 75 point dial option only. She has the Hydra team ability and a 4 range 1 bolt. She does have Indom in addition to her standard symbols, and she ignores hindering terrain on movement. This is a pretty simple dial, but a pretty dang effective dial. She starts with charge, precision strike, super senses, and a special damage power of close combat expert and stealth. And when she uses close combat expert, she may instead modify the attacker damage +2 and the other value by +1, so she gets an extra bump more than you typically get with close combat expert. That combined with precision strike is excellent. That combined with Blades, Claws, Fangs is excellent, where she does pick up blades for the last 3 clicks for dial. It's only 5 clicks long, but with having stealth and having improved movement hindering, she can move around and stay relatively safe until she gets in and does her damage. And for only 75 points and having willpower as well, I think she is well worth the 75 points. She's a great addition to any hand team. Unfortunately, they did not give her the hand keyword, which kind of blows my mind, and it's a pretty big oversight, but she does just have Assassins and Thunderbolts. But great dial. If you're going to run the Thunderbolt squad, you have to run her. I also will give her a 4 out of 5 in modern age figures. Coming in next is the one I'm most anticipated to review, and that's because I love the character. Punisher comes in at number 3. He is 125 points. He has Indom, and he has some really good improved targeting. He can ignore hindering and characters on targeting, and he can also make ranged combat attacks targeting adjacent opposing characters. He, for the most part, is a little lackluster for 125 points. He has no running shot top dial. He does have it for random 2 clicks there in the middle of his dial, but he just having sidestep and not having any stealth kind of hurts his value a little bit. He also has a energy explosion top dial, but only has one bolt. He does have outwit, which helps him a little bit, and he alternates between outwit and range combat expert for the majority of his dial. That reminds me, if you want to follow along with me, you can go to hcrealms.com and go to the unit section and look at these dials as we talk about them. But this piece, while I think it's a pretty solid dial. I think it's just a tad bit more overcosted than the other two that we've reviewed so far. I don't think it's a bad figure by any means, but I don't think that it's kind of maxed out enough efficiency wise, as far as only, energy explosion with only one bolt, no move and attack or stealth top click to keep him safe while he's moving up to make a shot. So I'm going to say he's a 3 out of 5 modern age. Not a bad figure, but not a great figure either. Alright, Red Hulk comes in at number 4. He is 150 points, shield team ability, and 5 range 1 bolt. He also has Endom, and he has a total of 8 clicks on his dial, the first click being a quote-unquote banner click. So he starts with Earthbound, and then you have to push him onto his Hulk status. He has a pretty good trait. He can use leadership. Red Hulk and friendly adjacent characters that have the Thunderbolts keyword can use stealth, so that'll help out Deadpool and Punisher. The figure has outwit for most of its dial. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have any move and attack until the very end of his dial. He has leap climb for the majority of his dial, and then super strength, and then he eventually picks up charge. But by that point, he has very low attack value at a 9. For 150 points, you would want a little bit higher attack value. This figure has a lot of good things going for it and a lot of bad things, which kind of brings it to even out again, like Punisher at a 3 out of 5 for modern age. He has a trait that helps your team with the leadership, and then the friendly adjacents can use stealth. He has the shield team ability to help out his team as well. But then again, and he has outwit to help out his team as well. But then again, his dial leaves a lot to be desired for a 150 point attacker. So that's going to balance him out at just an average modern age figure. Not amazing, but not bad either. 3 out of 5 stars. Venom is the number 5 figure, and he's interesting. He's a little hard for me to score. He has 2 point options at 125 or 75, and he has a shield team ability, sharpshooter, and 6 range 2 bolts. And the 2 bolts are going to be important because he has energy explosion for all but his last click. He also ignores hindering and characters on movement, and he has a very good trait. When a friendly character with a higher point value is adjacent to him, Venom can use sidestep. Then he has a special damage power for almost his entire dial. He can use range combat expert and shape change. So this dial, the key things besides those things I just mentioned is that at both his 125 and his 75 point options, he does not have starting move and attack. He just has leap climb. And he has no willpower either, so it's going to take, basically, the bad thing about pieces like this, if you're not going to have move and attack, or at least sidestep, then you want willpower, because the problem is your opponent is going to see you coming way before you get the shot off. You move into position, your opponent knows where you're at, and then next turn, they've had time to move out of the way, or even if you do get to take a shot off, then you're going to take pushing damage afterwards. And sometimes it's not worth it. So personally, I think at his 75 point option he's a little bit better, because then his trait where he gets to use sidestep is going to trigger more often, since his friendly characters are more likely to be more than 75 than they are more than 125. I'm going to give the 125 just a standard 3 out of 5 stars. I think the 2 bolts and the energy explosion gives him an average rating, where otherwise I might go below average. But at 75 points, I'm going to give him a reluctant 4 out of 5 stars for 75 points. It's only 4 clicks long, but if you're getting the sidestep and then getting the shape change and toughness and range combat expert and all the goodness that he has in the options with energy explosion versus range combat expert, I think he can be slightly above average. Alright, and last but definitely not least is Mercy. She has 2-point options as well, 75 points or 50 points. Neither dial has a trait or a special power. She's just standard vanilla powers, but there are some damn good ones and they're put together pretty well. At 75 points, she's going to start with Flight, 10 Phasing, 10 Pulse Wave, Super Senses, and Probability Control. At 75 points, she will have 3 less clicks, giving her only 3 clicks of life at 50 points. But at 50 points, she starts with TK, Barrier, and Prob Control. So at 75 points, the having no willpower and then the lack of movement attack is not, you're not really going to be attacking with her anyways. You're playing her as a support piece either way you play her. So the 75 point piece leaves a little bit to be desired. It's still an average figure for its points. You know, it always has prob or support on its damage slot. It has TK and barrier at times, and it can carry as well. We need to remember that. So I think it's a 3 out of 5 figure at 75 points, but at 50 points, I think she has a whole lot of potential. Unfortunately, only having the Thunderbolts keyword will hinder that potential a little bit. But on teams that don't care about Theme Team, at 50 points, she is very good. Having TK, Barrier, and Prob all for 50 points, as we've seen with other pieces in the past, is very, very good. And then coupling in the fact that she can carry as well with her flight and her phasing adds to her playability. So I'm actually going to give the 50 point a 5 out of 5. I think it's could be a potential filler for the spot that's going to be left open once Scarlet Witch and Enchantress retire. Starting July 1st, there's going to be an opening for 50-ish point pieces, you know, to take that slot. And so you've got Jinx and now Mercy and Oracle and some other, you know, other pieces that just came out in Deadpool as well that could, you know, fill that slot. I think Mercy is potentially one of them. I'm going to give her a 5 out of 5 for 50 point value. Alright, first map to review is a badass map, Thunderbolts Submarine. You start off on each side as usual, and this has some special orange rules, so we're going to go down close to read them. And it's pretty long, bear with me though, it's very cool. Orange squares are underwater squares, and if you look on the map, the three wide row goes all the way down each side. Those are water, and then they're blocked off by the orange line around the outside of the submarine, and everything inside here is fighting, is basically you fighting on the submarine. They are blocking terrain and cannot be destroyed. Walls bordering orange squares are the hull. When a character misses with a ranged attack that would deal damage, extend the line of fire from the attacker to each missed target until it would be blocked by a wall. So basically your shots go past whoever you missed, and then they can hit the wall. If that wall is a hull, the wall is destroyed. Whenever a hull is destroyed for any reason, place a water terrain marker instead of a debris marker in the adjacent square that is not the underwater terrain. So you're flooding the inside of the submarine. At the beginning of each player's turn, that player rolls a d6, subtracts 2, and then places that many water terrain markers in squares adjacent to other water terrain markers placed as a result of a broken wall. So if you're playing a water team, this could be a fun map to play. You're not going to start off with a bunch of water, but you're going to potentially get some water going. You can bust out one of these walls, and then, you know, a water terrain will go there, and then at the beginning of the turn, water can start spreading throughout the field. Really what this would be best for is if you're playing a team that's comprised of a couple water terrain figures that get better with water, like some of the newer Namors that have come out, and then a mix of regular figures as well. The other side is not quite as exciting. It is the mall. The starting areas are smack in the middle on each side, and there is no elevated terrain. It's half outdoor along the edge of the map, and then all these checkered things are all indoors, and there's some walls and some little plants for hindering. So it does look like a mall, but it's not quite as exciting as the other submarine side. Pretty standard map here. Alright, so in review, figure quality wise, sculpt wise, they all look great. No superb standouts, but no bad looking sculpts either, so average to slightly above average on the sculpt quality. On the dial quality, if you remember as we went through, no figure scored less than an average 3 out of 5. Venom came a little close to it at his max points value. He's not that good, but still, the fact that we had no bad figures in this says a lot. And then we had a 5 out of 5 with Mercy, and quite a few 4 out of 5s. So this is a great set as far as dial efficiency. And again, you're getting a word bubble for your Deadpool that can come in handy with your other Deadpools that you're playing. Map wise, the submarine map is very cool. I'm really, psyched about trying that out sometime. It's a unique map that brings something that no other map has before. The other side, the mall side, is pretty average, pretty meh, pretty standard for your map. So having one really cool map and 6 pretty dang good figures, I think is well worth your 15 to 20 bucks you spend on this. If you are at all interested in the characters, definitely pick it up. If you're not really interested in the character selection but looking for dial quality, it may even still be worth your money, because like I said, Mercy's very good, and a lot of these other figures, particularly Elektra and Deadpool, are pretty good for their points. So I hope this helps you guys make your financial decision. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out the podcast, Dial H for Heroclix, where we put out episodes every Sunday.